Hello everyone, and welcome to something a bit different. This is Cities Skylines, not Cities Skylines 2, because I don't have that game, because I think it's a bit of a rip-off. Cities Skylines just got more content, and it actually works. This is the city I've been working on for the past ages, not constantly. It has a lovely 800,000 people, and yeah, it's very big. It's based on a map I got off the workshop, which I've checked is no longer available on the workshop. And what comes on the workshop is basically mostly just this island here, this island here, this island here, and this string of islands to an outside connection tunnels here. So as you can guess from that, I've done quite a lot of land reclamation. Now, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you the city, some of the things I've learnt, some of the things you could learn from this city, and then next week, whenever you're watching this, we will start a new series taking into account some of the lessons I've learnt from this. So, I think we should begin where the outside connections come in. Now this junction, it works, don't even question it, right? I know it's a bit ugly, but it fits the needs because it's quite a tight space. Got tunnels through here. If we just look at this, oh yeah, traffic flow, most of the traffic flow problems are the train lines or something anyway, because they're very congested, but we have a lot of roads. We have this road from an outside connection, and then we kind of have a full ring road, which I added later. That kind of a lot of underground, it comes above ground. Go out of this view. For these industry islands, I've got an island for every industry. Other than the fishing, which is just a bit everywhere. And the road kind of goes around, gets busy. There's another outside connection here. There's another outside connection here. This is just kind of more for local traffic. And then come around. Kind of funky how it kind of joins onto the existing bridge here for a bit and then kind of goes back off it again. We've got the train bridge here, the tram bridge here. It goes back underground. Up here, where there's the fourth outside connection for roads, I think it's for. And then it goes through. This is our pedestrianised area, built on the pedestrian zones DLC, and then goes back underground and kind of joins up with this highway here. So that's the main highways, and that's about it for highways. You can see this immediately comes into a local road, and what big thing I've found in this city is you don't have traffic problems when you don't actually build many roads, because if you give people good other options, like the city's very walkable, there's great public transport, no one even bothers driving, if I'm being honest, like, just why you won't actually see that many cars in this city. And in fact, the main place where I've had traffic problems is like people just like drive into the city and immediately go to the closest train station just to park their car and get on the train because it's so much faster, to the point where I have had to not allow people to get off at this junction because it just overloads this whole area. Well, not allowed cars anyway, so you have to go further. But yeah, so we've got this nice park here. We've got a big tram system in this area with a tram depot. The game's a little bit laggy, but for 800,000 people, well, fluctuating around that area, it's not actually that bad, the performance. We have an underground train station here. The train lines, there's a big hub here, which is hopefully, let's not talk about the backup we have at the moment. So, if we get rid of this train, that will be able to move out, yeah, and then we have everything moving again. Once that can move, yeah, there we go. But it's a big hub. This was added later. We've got a above ground metro kind of snaking through this whole area as well. Got a lot of eco buildings in this city. I quite like the aesthetic. And yes, I have got realistic population. It does boost the population a bit, but You know, it's realistic, so why not? Why be unrealistic? And you've got lots of kind of narrow roads. You've got trees on some roads, but also tried to kind of do some other normal roads just so they can park without placing in an absolute ton of these off-street parking places. You've got the main train that kind of wiggles through here, pops out here, comes down. This is I really like this junction because before they were kind of just merging and then splitting, whereas I've managed to get many things quite separate from each other by building this junction, and the whole system runs more efficiently. And then yeah, you have Metro. This is our main fishing area. We do have other clusters of fishing, but it's a big thing. And then this is the second airport I built. Entirely reclaimed land using quay walls to kind of give that kind of aesthetic that a lot of airports in real life have. It's completely jammed with planes because they take so long at each stand. I should probably get more small and fewer like medium and large stands in, or maybe turn this cargo area that no one ever uses into another passenger terminal. And also, I don't know what happens here. I can show you, like, if I try to, like, these just like won't like go away. These like random sinkholes next to the runways. Not sure if that's safe for planes to be landing like that, but yeah. And you also see you can wait for a plane to land. I can prove to you that the wings do not clip these bridge pillars. There is enough clearance here. Okay, like here's a plane, and that's a smaller plane, but you can see still plenty of space there. We've got all of these islands kind of areas have names. Sometimes I just went with like default game names, sometimes I chose them myself, sometimes I kind of took a bit of inspiration off the default game name and changed it up a bit. I also have, in terms of, we've got shown you in the Metro, I've also got a lot of bus routes here, including some that are like express routes, so they will skip stops and kind of go completely to the other side of the city. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've got one that goes to the airport all the way on the other side of the city. We also have 3 5-star university campuses. All of them have all the academic works. Got Foggy Island. This island didn't have a train station until much later, when I built the line over to Hamilton. Got a nice park here. Got some more stadiums in the city as well. I've got the stadiums content creator pack. And this island is also the only one which has trolley buses. It's a nice trolley bus. And yeah, just like, I've used almost every kind of form of transport in the city. We've got monorails over here, which I think some people do. Maybe people use them. 5 people use that one. Got a nice baseball stadium over here. Got a nice nature reserve and also plane spotting spot. I mean, I'm not sure how I mean, maybe all the birds and whatever loves plane spotting, but yeah. Got a nice zoo here. The animals here probably also like the planes, and you also got all the service areas for this massive Strawberry Mall pedestrian area, which, I mean, you will notice if I go around, there are a few roads that vehicles can drive on, like just a couple, so that I can get vehicles around the place, and buses, and for some reason the ferry terminals have got a very extensive ferry network. They need a proper road, not a pedestrian road. So yeah, this is the first airport that I built alongside the pedestrian area. And you can just see how the highway kind of tries to take up as little space as possible going through this area, and how there aren't any buildings built back here, even though I've got demand turned up. And also, there's the best bus. This is the best bus stop ever. Like, it's probably a bit silly to have a bus stop like in that type of space there, but whatever. It's kind of like a highway bus that like pulls off just to stop at the stop and then comes back on. So yeah. So what else? Concord Island. Kind of, I've gone for like a different style with this one. So Concord Island is European suburbia. Cloverleafs. Now, I know, and I will be the first to admit, they aren't the best junction, but in this situation, there isn't that high traffic demand. They're a good intersection where you have 2 roads that you want grade separation from, but aren't that major. Like, I wouldn't do this with more traffic. I would build a proper junction, but that would take up a ton more space, and it's still better than like having like a roundabout with like this road coming into the roundabout. It's just works in this situation. You also know, like, lane maths, I try to do it sometimes, but it doesn't always work, and at that point it's just like, oh well, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Like, one thing I've found with playing a lot of games like this is there isn't like one formula to make everything the best. It's whatever works in the situation. I think with lane maths that's another thing of like, yeah, no problems are actually really coming out of the fact that 2 goes into 2 and 1 here, so leave it, it's fine. Why? And you'll notice here I've got a lot of train station bypasses from where they aren't built into the station, because I've got busy train lines, particularly cargo trains. They just get clogged up behind the passenger trains. So we come over to here, this is the newest island, Holly Island. Got a nice river, so it's really kind of 2 islands. And you'll notice here we've got a bypass line which is only used for cargo trains. And then we've got a passenger line. And for some reason cargo trains always disappear, like just like very close to the edge of region rather than actually going to the edge of region places. I don't really know why. So yeah, we have got passenger trains out of the region, but we have actually got like actual lines that run out of the region rather than like just doing like game AI intercity trains. I think it works better that way. It's just more control. They don't like spam in a load of trains and then like no one ever boards those trains. But it's also nice, even if like no one wants to take the trains, they're still running anyway. I mean, you'll notice money isn't my biggest concern in this city. I've built up enough of it. So yeah, this is kind of Telford Island, but it's also got like Washington Docks, another kind of pedestrian area development, kind of by the water. I think it's quite cool. Got trams along the waterfront here. Got massive harbour. This sometimes gets like boats like really full because I've adjusted like the passenger capacities on the boats. So like they can carry 5,000. So sometimes we get boats with like several thousand people arriving, which does make the game lag and does kind of overwhelm the local transport. Okay, that one's only got 529 to go to Hawthorne, but this is why like got like this metro station here particularly gets very busy. And I've kind of what I've done at these metro stations is essentially you've got 4 lines here, so I've just split them 2 and 2. It works. So yeah, and this is another thing about transport lines. I've done a lot of what's called interlining, which is basically where you make 2 or several lines run on the same track. It's a hot topic in both Cities Skylines and real life. Should you kind of put several on the same line, or should you keep them all separate? I'm kind of in the mood of, once again, it depends. I mean I've got quite high capacity trains on all of these lines. I think that's more realistic to have it as 900 even if it's not the game default, but it does mean like trains don't need to come as often on every individual line, so you can have like 2 or 3 lines at the same track and the frequency still isn't too much, and where they're stopped at stations you can just have multiple platforms. So yeah, got this cargo harbour, got a nice loop of track, kind of squeezing in between everything to connect up this cargo terminal. You can see like a lot of my highway junctions, once the game finishes with its autosave packaging, a lot of my highway junctions are just very basic. I mean, this one is quite busy at the moment with trucks, but literally just like that, a bit between the kind of bridge and the tunnel. They generally work. I mean, like I said, I don't really have that much traffic in this city, so if it works in the situation, a lot of these highways were like squeezed in later as well, so there wasn't always a space, and I don't really like just demolishing a ton of buildings. So yeah, that's kind of why it kind of just like wiggles onto this bridge as well, because it felt like the historic bridges should be kind of preserved. And then we come over to, this is a massive high-rise island, Zealand Island, another university. And yeah, you can just get a great view of the city. We've got Zealand Point, which is a leisure area. I've had massive death care problems in the city, so although I really don't like doing this, I've got these kind of block services for death care, just kind of to like, so the problem doesn't get out of hand. Just to kind of keep sending crematoriums out and forget about the problem. I don't do it for any other service. But it's just like either that or just taking up tons of land in my city for crematoriums, like having several in line, and that feels even less realistic, whereas you can kind of forget these are here. Okay, so this is the wedge. Very creative naming. I mean, it's not like the land is, you know, shaped like a wedge or anything. This is our first university, Technological Institute of Sand-on-Sea, or TISOS for short, which is, got the metro stations around here like this. TISOS North, you can see underground 6 platforms, kind of more complicated junctions. So yeah, you've got the blue line which kind of goes down onto this kind of core, and then the other lines, the yellow line and the 2 kind of purple terminating lines which come through this above ground core, which runs through the main station. This is complex track work underneath here, kind of to get all the trains in and out. And just look at the approaches. We've got 4 tunnels in. This one does intercity trains mainly, the first one, and then this one also kind of like the original 2 of those 2, and then the outer ones are just to add extra capacity. But yeah, you can see a lot of trains come in from one side then out the other, for example. And yeah, I've got loads of train models off the workshop, so be a great place to be a train spotter, this would, because you've got like loads of different types of trains from all around the world. You've got Dutch trains, you've got French trains, you've got Australian trains, Japanese trains, English trains, default game trains. Yeah. Yeah, this is where we've got a lot of our tourist attractions. I think I have every or almost every unique building placed down in this city. So yeah, this is where all the tourism happens, and when you have tourism you have hotels which can make an awful lot of money off those tourists. So yeah, I have got like, I think every DLC apart from like maybe a couple of content creator packs and a few radio stations. I mean, like, I don't think the radio stations aren't even working. Like the button here is just gone. I don't know why. This is powering our city, the fusion power plant. We have all of the monuments. This is mostly kind of cleaning up our city. So yeah, if you look at the pollution, wherever it is, yeah, just no pollution. I mean, you can see these are polluting buildings, but the pollution goes as soon as it comes. So that's brilliant. Somewhere we have the space elevator, which brings all the people. Forget where that is, but there it is. There's like the train station there. It's literally called space elevator, because I have named all the stations. In fact, I've got a mod which can like give me a map of like all the transport lines in the city. So yeah, got all the fish trucks trying to come in. You'll see there's this kind of double entry system where if they're coming from this way they come in here, and if they're coming from this way they come in here, just to kind of stagger the traffic backlog. Because it's okay if they're backlogged down here, but it isn't really great if they're backlogged further back than this junction, because then they're blocking traffic that isn't even coming into the cargo train terminal. So yeah, what else? I can show you like the ferry network is also like enormous, and like I know a lot of these lines don't necessarily have that many people using them. It seems a bit wasteful, but like I said, I've got enough money. It's there to serve the people. And it's there just as I think it's cool as well to look at. So yeah, and the barges for some reason I don't think they work. You know, there's like I got a mod that like supposedly fixes them and it hasn't. Got taxis as well. Don't forget the taxis. Another thing I haven't forgotten is the post. It's still like very red in some areas. so I may not even have enough of it, but there are lots of like little features, obviously, with all the DLCs and whatever, like, people often forget about. So I can show you my transport lines right now. I don't know how accurate these numbers are, honestly, but like, I have. Just pull this out when it wants to be. There we go. So we have 49 bus lines. It's a lot. 20 train lines. 20 metro lines. 14 tram lines. 23 ferry lines. 1 monorail line. No blimp lines. I did have some at one point to get an achievement, but I got rid of them because they were just like useless and probably annoying everyone. We do still have some walking tour lines. No sightseeing buses, those seemingly are a waste of time. No helicopter lines, and 5 trolley bus lines, which, like I showed you, are all in Hamilton. So yeah, industry islands, these are quite a big thing. It's just one of the things that kind of got me to build the highway in the first place, is the industry traffic kind of moving around, because like a lot of the like unique factories need several resources from other places. Like, this is the ore island, so the mining, so we've got glass and metals from here, but we've also got the plastics, which can come from over here on the highway, and the animal products, which can come from over here on the highway. So it's a big network. The cargo trains often kind of from these areas go back into the centre of the map, whereas the ring road really connects up these areas to each other. Whereas by train line, let's just pull up this tab again, you would have to go all the way past the airport into the centre to pull around this junction. You could then ride this kind of bypass line, which is mainly used for cargo, to kind of get out the whole area around here. You then go past the wedge to go on this line through Hamilton Island, which then there's a branch off which goes down to this island. So yeah, that's really long-winded compared to just driving. But then again, there aren't that many people living on these islands. In fact, 0 on the Ore Island, 111 there. This island is split. The narrative I had for this one is they built Newark as kind of a way to settle more people out of the city on some now redundant farmland. So Ipswich was kind of the original town here on Ipswich Island. Then they built Newark, which has a lot of bus lines as well. So this lovely bus terminal, and the way people get transported around between these islands is by bus. So I originally tried to go for more like single track train line vibes on this island, because it's kind of a rural area, but it was just the lines were just too busy. It just didn't work. So I mean, this is still a bit of a bottleneck here, this station, kind of trains stopping, but also cargo trains trying to get through. And also these level crossings, got the lovely dirt roads. I do like the aesthetics of the farming areas in this game. I mean, I know like Cities Skylines 2, you can like zoom the areas, but still nice. We got this lovely fertile ground, which just looks like neon green. And then we have also got some like the industry specialisation buildings, and then a few regular industry buildings as well. And don't forget warehouses, those are important. These don't have enough plastics. I've got plastics coming in from this cargo harbour at some point. I mean, in theory I have the whatever mod that kind of like makes the connections more efficient and kind of tries to do the shortest match. But I don't know how much that mod actually does, to be honest. Got some times when I just like drop some disasters on the city. Kind of like, why not? So we've got this like massive crater next to this university. Got this kind of island here is split from where there was an earthquake. And yeah, got like this massive radio antenna, because I have got a lot of like the disaster buildings in, just kind of in the middle of here, because it covers the 3 original islands. Yeah, and you can see like areas like here I've tried to be a bit more realistic, like Workerton. It's what it says in the name. This is where a lot of like the workers from the fishing industry are supposed to live. So it's like lower quality housing. You can see these industrial roads. It's not meant to be a nice place to live. It's meant to be a place to live, and then you go to work in the fishing industry. We have that again on the oil island, Bedford Island. It's more high-rise, just to house more people to go and work. Because the oil industry needs a lot of workers, and you can carry on round. Like, this area here needs like 2,000 workers, but it doesn't have any people living there. And don't forget, not every person living is working, because like, they could be in school or something. But yeah, this island does get quite a lot of traffic. It's running fine. You see I've got kind of dead end roads. It's a bit, the way I like to do it is like a more chaotic layout, which basically means the quickest through route is always these main roads, and then you kind of don't use the side roads unless you're actually going somewhere, which just keeps everything moving better. You'll see kind of these like pretty discreet slip roads onto the highway and entrances to underground train tunnels. The train lines on this island actually connect to the main line that goes out the region this way. This is where we get our most of our water for the city from. We also source a lot of power from these wind turbines. And this is our lovely prison. HMP, for those of you who are not British, but it's His Majesty's prison. Just like how you call the prison in the UK, and I just thought, why not call it that? Sounds like a prison. And I've also got the helicopter emergency services on this island, so fire, medical, and police. I've got 2 medical ones. Okay, got the medical centre on as well. Hawthorne ferry terminal. This is where, like, I've got a lot of these like passenger ferries, the outside connections. We've got a metro line or 2 that terminates here. We've also got just another zoo. It just kind of has a road, and then you just go into the zoo on this whole island. Kind of ways to fill the smaller islands. Hang on, why have I got 2 Eden projects? That's a bit weird. I'm sure you're not supposed to be able to do that. I think I've got a mod that allows you to place like multiple of the monuments. We've got our lovely Central Park here. This is kind of a newly developed pedestrian zone. And we've got a nice bus road that just kind of cuts through the middle. And we've got a mixture of kind of fast and slower buses on that road. Foggy Island. You can see the metro layout in here. It's like there's a triangle station here, there's another line that kind of goes through there, and they all kind of split off and join onto other lines. These lines are actually loops. These lines, they aren't actually the same line, but they're just loops, and they're the same colour. But yeah, there's a lot of transport kind of going, well, I'd forgotten which way is north and south, but across the main island, which doesn't really have a name because like it's full of kind of these smaller districts. What's this? This is our ultimate recycling plant. That's another monument. We've kind of just got this kind of train loop to kind of get to the cargo and passenger stations. Another thing about train lines, if there's a train going from here across the bridge, it doesn't have to interact with the train going from the wedge station into the tunnel. And this crossover station again, like, ignore the water pumps, that's for if it floods in here. They're just water pumps. I know they look a bit weird, but it works. But then the tunnel kind of comes out here, and then you split, but this one is already split to kind of go around it. So there's a lot of kind of like making sure the trains don't get in each other's way when they don't have to. And we have these lovely compact bus stations here just to provide bus service to people, because there are a few express buses that come here as well on their way, because say going down the highway tunnel that come here, And then there, the metro network under here. It's like this site, there's not much interlining on this. There were 2 lines that share the track into this one, because one kind of does like an express line into the centre, which then terminates at the central station. In terms of getting to the other airport, there's a train line. And there's also one that goes up onto Ipswich Island. Ignore the fact these lines are the same colour, they are different lines. We can't, like, there are only so many colours I can do for lines. But yeah, this is the Airport Express, it kind of just flows into here. And it kind of keeps its own line, so yeah, it does look like a mess. I do try to like have everything like not crossing over underground, which is why like everything's at like a different level. Oh my gosh, that's the music. Actually, that's the traffic park. That's the festival area. Okay. That's what all that sound is coming from. I don't know how much you'll be able to hear through the video. It's the Rock Park or whatever. Meteorite Park. So, original Pearl Tower. Yeah, I have so many different things that it just kind of gets I've just chucked all the unique buildings in here, and it kind of looks quite cool, but also a bit disorganised. And this doesn't really fit in here, but yeah. And then suddenly you just kind of go up to here, and it's just like nothingy. You just got like loads of like cargo transport around and stuff like that. Got Robin Island, which has a few more unique buildings, including the Aviation Club. It also has a cable car over to the main island, which has a couple of people using it. Like, it's more than 0. Science Centre, that's one of the university kind of additional buildings. Train station in all its glory. So this is waiting for this to get. So really, we're waiting for this train to leave in order for this train to enter, in order for this train to enter, in order for this train to leave. It's busy, like busy, but it's also cool how it's so busy. So now that can move. That train can enter. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting I can show you. I mean, like designing all these islands was quite an interesting thing of like, how do I shape it? Because I'm not really a map designer or whatever. Oh yeah, this kind of entrance to the station. But like they were kind of all separate from each other. And also I've got kind of mixtures of like grid layouts like this, which is kind of, some of it's more kind of like a bit of a curvy grid, and some of it's like just completely all over the place, which is, it's nice to have a mixture. A lot of these tunnels between islands as well, not the right thing to press. I've restricted cars going through because I want them to use my public transport, and also they're not really designed with the capacity, but like the public transport is free. Like if we look in policies, by the way, I always have like loads of different policies on. Like I think far too many people just ignore the policies in this game. In fact, one thing I've noticed about Cities Skylines 2 is the policies are not the same. But yeah, smoke detectors, always use that. Recycling, like some of these I just always use. Free public transport, kind of like some of these seem like no-brainers to me. I like doing let go of leisure, just boosting entertainment. Then these 3 here, small business enthusiastic, big business benefactor, industrial space planning, these just print money. I mean, I know they have costs, but like double sales, double goods produced. Like the upkeep cost is like almost nothing compared to the money you get back from it is huge. High-tech housing increases land value. I mean, I probably don't need that, having got 2 Eden projects in the city. Encourage biking. I don't think many people bike in this city because I don't have a great bike network. But like, you can just like take the public transport. Another one that's kind of, this is really irrelevant, but I just have it on anyway. Automated toll. Filter industrial waste. This is a big one I always like to have on to heavily reduce pollution from industrial areas. Obviously now I've got the Eden projects, so it makes less of a difference. Sustainable fishing ones. Industry 4.0, this is a good one if you have, once you've got highly educated workers, you can put this on, and then you don't kind of have like people who are like undereducated so much, because these require, well, you don't have people who are educated because they can just go to work here and it increases the output again. So that's a big thing about policy. It's kind of a point of note of like, use them, and everyone has different ones they like to use. Got more kind of assets here. This one's nice, the aeration basin for the sewage rather than just pumping it into the water. Got small warehouses because I've got unique factories around here that require, well, something around here that requires plain timber. That just put a small little warehouse here for plain timber. It then has a local storage place so that it can then ship to here rather than going from all the way over the other side of the map. Got some lovely offshore oil rigs, which we can't go underneath with the camera. I wonder if I could, if I put on. No. Yeah. But like, you can see, like, there's public transport all over the place in the city. You do not need to drive. I think that's a big point to mention. Got bridges coming into the airport. Kind of the best way to reduce traffic congestion in the city. A lot of people think like, build better road designs and better road hierarchy and junction designs. Actually, it's just as good to just put in loads of public transport, and then you just don't have people needing to drive. It works in real life as well. Like, how does Los Angeles have worse traffic congestion than Amsterdam? Like, just not many people drive in Amsterdam, so because they have other ways to get around. Yeah, just showing you more of the fish here. There's kind of like a compacted area here. This road design's kind of one-way roads around the harbours. Building is on fire. Car park's on fire. Just like fire coming up from the middle of the car park. Okay. I've got the helicopters and fire engines. Yeah. It's fine. Fire will be put out. The car park can be back to being not on fire. Garbage collection issues. I don't know why. I think I have a few issues for everything. I mean, like, not enough. So also stuff like that. University capacity is, it's alright, like, it's not that bad. I've resisted placing down the Hadron Collider, I think it is, or something, which does education, because the monument, because it would just take everything off from these universities, and I quite like having, kind of keeping them in, and they're cool. And they kind of have, this one has like the extra buildings kind of dotted around the area. But yeah, that is the city. Like, it's got a lot of people. It took a lot of time to get to this many people, but it is possible, and I think Cities Skylines is still a great game. People forget, like, Cities Skylines still is released. There is still this game, this amazing game, and you know, all the content with DLCs and mods that's been built up over several years. It's a game which functions well. I don't really notice many, if any, bugs, and still very enjoyable to build cities. So, although yeah, Cities Skylines does have a lot of cool features that this doesn't, I think this is still a great game in a way. Actually, Cities Skylines 2. I mean, I do have the money to buy it if I want to, but I don't. Why would I spend that much money when I could spend like the same amount of money on a better game probably, or whatever? And like, what's better about it? I would say like industries are probably better, but the kind of, I mean, I know they were saying they were gonna reorganise everything so that the whole kind of system of products actually works. But like, there's not nearly as many public transport options. The workshop for mods they have is nowhere near as good. The roads kind of like, I will admit, like building like roads on and off is kind of easier, but like, I mean, I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to building roads. If you haven't noticed by, like, this is a workshop junction, this is a default junction. This is my junction. Kind of like, I like to build junctions because I like to make them fit into the roads of the area rather than making the roads of the area fit into them. But yeah. Right. This is a nice junction, except I then kind of built these slip roads on, which kind of was the aesthetics. And like, I can build junctions by myself, like this trumpet here I built. Just got the train line just whizzing over the top. That's a reminder of how people should actually be getting around. This clover leaf I built. So I can build junctions, I just don't have that much patience. Like, you'll notice I have intersection marking tool here. I don't think I've used it anywhere. Like, I have it as the mod, I just don't use it. Pedestrian bridges. I don't have many major roads to build them over, I prefer just building them myself like this. But I don't really have like many like big intersections that I need pedestrian bridges over. So yeah, I don't really have great attention to detail, but I don't really think it's that necessary in this city. So yeah, this is the city. How many people is this boat coming in with? 357. Oh, so one has just come in with a load more. Some of them have headed to the trams, but a lot of them are heading straight over to the metro. When you'll notice, like, these stations aren't like connected, but like the ferry harbour, the metro station, and the trade station, they aren't that far apart. There are the trams here to take people to the train. There's another metro station here. In terms of people worrying about placing stops too close together, I would say don't worry about that on buses, unless you're doing express route, because they aren't meant to be the fast way of getting people around. Like metros, like, even again, like, if you have transport hierarchy, they're still not like the fastest way. I mean, I think trains is the big one of like, it is good to be careful that you aren't placing train stations too close together, like just a few will do, because they're the express mode of getting around. Whereas like buses, you can have them, like I can show you like how often my bus routes stop. I generally try to have it like every 40 units. I mean sometimes a bit less, but you can see just like stop there, stop there, stop there, stop there. In terms of bus route design, I mean sometimes like this is just a loop that goes around to collect people from the area and bring them into the train and metro station. Metro kind of wiggles off the original route just like that, just to serve the island. But I've also got like bus routes that connect up to other island express routes. I don't always do loops either, like routes that kind of, they go through an area, but also they serve like multiple transit hubs in that area, rather than kind of doing a loop to collect people to one train station or one metro station. I connect the full area, which I think is a big thing of like, and then people have got multiple transport hubs to choose from. Here, this is I like the integration of kind of how to build your own hub. So, got the train station, got the ferry harbour behind it, the boat harbour, whatever, cruise ship harbour. We've got two metro stations, one faces across, one faces up, down, to kind of get different routes out. I've got the trams in here. Got one route that goes straight through, stops on here. Got another route that stops on the loop and bends back around, but the tracks are connected, just so they can get to the depot. Got bus stops. I've got 3 on each side, just on kind of one-way loops that only buses can go down. And then I've also got one that just stops on the main road as well. This road, it's got the 2-lane bits, but it's also just so vehicles, because this is a 2-way road, just so vehicles can kind of carry on their journey on the 2-way road. This little bit here's got 1 lane that just carries on, and it also allows buses to come out this way and go up. So yeah, I think can end with a view of these towers here with the rest of the city in the background, and there's the radio mast in the far background. So yeah, thanks for watching, and next week we'll be starting a brand new city. I haven't worked out what map I'll be using. I will probably post this city on the workshop, put up a mods list, and then put up a mods list of mods I use when I start the new series, which will be almost certainly a week from when you are watching this video, if you're watching it the day it came out. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you. Well, I'll have another video between this and the next Cities Skylines video, but we'll see you next time. Goodbye.